Hey.
Welcome back.
All right. Y'all love Air Horn remix songs because we're getting a ton of these. All right.
All right, that was
Look,
a new one.
if we end more than 30 minutes, I would let that go for the whole 3.5 minutes. But
wait, someone did it for the whole
welcome
length
back.
Song?
Thank you for joining us here on Monday. Oh yeah, it's like 3.5 minutes.
Welcome back, as Tyler said. Hope you guys had a good weekend, a safe weekend, as we sort of climb our way back to some kind of normalcy. I was actually lucky enough to be kind of out on the San Diego Bay most of the day.
Nice.
Hanging out for a little while, just kind of laying out in the sun. Got to do some rollerblading, which shout out to Callan. Put me up on game that there is a nice roller hockey rink I might have to check out tomorrow in Forest Ridge. So I will be looking to, and it's very weirdly far away from both where I live and where I work, as far as driving wise. So I don't know. I doubt there's any like league action going on over there, but I do want to check it out tomorrow.
It's actually in Scottsdale, Arizona. It's
and, yeah, it feels that way because you just got to drive straight through the mountains the whole way to get there.
Yeah.
But also followed that up with producer Tanaya had a hookup on some just really high level and free, most importantly free jet skiing rentals down in the San Diego Bay on the other side. So I picture myself as James Garrison cruising through. I don't think anyone could look that cool, although I was on a very similar model Yamaha jet ski, same colors and everything. I don't know, his is probably pretty souped up. He's got all that Tiger money, but had a good time. Was rushing back here to get set up for the show, so thank you guys for joining us. Hopefully you have some fun with us. Hit us in the comments, call in. Got the link on the screen. And
Rollerblades in Sea-Doo. You lived like a 1990s like ska music video. I think that's what you just did.
Yeah, I'm trying to take it back. Maybe there'd be like a Rough Riders video back in there, where back in the mid to late 90s, where you had some appearance of rollerblades, but definitely jet skis. I mean, like a Drew Hill video. I could see that as well. But thank you guys for checking in with us. It looks like Daniel says he has been rickrolled by the air horn.
Yep. It's going to happen.
And yes, the hardest thing about rollerblading is telling your parents you're gay. I had to tell them, if you've ever seen the Human Giant skit where Aziz has that same conversation.
I forgot all about that.
I had to tell them today, and it was pretty difficult. They're pretty traditional kind of Indian family, and they're pretty upset about it. And it just cuts back to shots of him like rollerblading in spandex.
I forgot all about that skit. Oh man,
classic Human Giant skit, one of the most memorable ones for me. But let's start off by the sports that were actually on this weekend. I know we kind of teed you guys up with the good news about the NBA. That looks like that is moving ahead as planned. NFL, no delays in their schedule. Baseball still dragging their feet. They're still going back and forth. We'll get into that a little bit. But the sports that were on this weekend, we obviously had NASCAR, some good Bundesliga action, which I ended up seeing quite a bit of. I think it's pretty much locked down for Bayern at this point, but there is still Champions League implications there. And I know this is actually from Denmark, but I will never hesitate to post the sad kid. Just, again, letting us know that sports are on their way back. Just be ready to get hurt again, sports fans. That's all we can ask.
I think I saw that Brighton is going to be doing that, or maybe it's just sending pictures that I can't remember. But one of the Premier League teams is doing something similar to that.
I'm really surprised that more teams have not done that, considering the amount of money they have. Technology-wise, they could probably hook that up. I noticed during the Bayern and then the Leverkusen game, they had like a big collage of, which I'm guessing fans submitted their pictures to be in that front row section, basically covering the portion you could see on TV of the lower bowl. and that was pretty cool. But nothing tops the giant Zoom live interactive. I wish I saw the guy chugging the beer, but anything to kind of get the fans just feeling like they're part of it, and the players just realizing, yes, people are here watching this with us, participating, not in the action on the field, but just kind of like the emotion of it. I know for the most part, the German league teams have all gone to the piped in crowd noise, which I thought was pretty funny too. In the first game I saw, where there was a pretty clear yellow card, and it was at the opposing team's stadium. So then here comes the whistles, but there's someone just sitting up there like, oh, get the whistle button. Like, let's get in the ref's ear. Let them know we are not happy about this. It's pretty seamless. I don't know how they do the mixing for all that, but if you're not looking at the actual wide shots where you can clearly see there's no fans, it does feel like they're there.
Yeah.
They have the chanting, just different. Oh, near miss. The crowd gets excited, yelling at the referee, all those sorts of things. So they've been doing a pretty good job with it. I've been enjoying it. I know soccer's not huge with everyone, but I'm a big soccer fan, and the Bundesliga is still a top 4 or 5 league in the world, despite, not really getting back to the Champions League final levels that they were at a couple of years ago. But I've been enjoying it, and as you also know, as we swerve from iRacing into, unfortunately, back to real NASCAR. But boring, I know. But Harvick won again at Atlanta.
Yeah.
His 51st career win. And I was telling Tyler this during the race. Of all the famous athletes, Harvick might be a little bit more low-key just because it's NASCAR. It's not up in the NFL, NBA, MLB stratosphere of, like, these guys are always in your face. But I think at this point, he's got to be probably the most financially successful just from playing the sport, I would think.
We were talking about it a little bit, like the only ones I could think that would also be up there, maybe Joey Porter, although he's had some stories that maybe he doesn't have that much money. I don't know. Frank Gifford, of course, up there, but he was, more famous for, kind of hosting Monday Night Football, getting movies, getting, married to
Kathy Lee.
Yeah, married Kathy Lee. And then of course there's, the namesake of our old podcast, Robert Swift. But I don't know if he's quite the financial success as Kevin Harvick. So
no, I know that he's definitely not.
I mean, yeah, I would say he's definitely, got to be the most financially successful and probably really just overall successful in his particular field. I mean, the only person I think that has one singular bigger accomplishment is Jake Varner winning the gold medal in the Olympics in London for wrestling. But Harvick's definitely got to be the top Bakersfield guy, I would think, as far as just sports accomplishments.
Well, I think they mentioned on the broadcast too, with that, getting his 51st win, that put him, I think, sole possession of like 12th all time in Cup Series wins. And I don't remember the other person, but I know one of them was Ned Jarrett, who was around forever. And Harvick's, even though, we talked about before, he's always kind of looked younger, like just had a baby face. Now he's looking a little more weathered, grizzled.
Yeah,
he's only 44 years old, so he could, he's got some more wins under his belt. He seems to be kicking ass this season. So let's go Bakersfield. Let's keep it going. Kevin Harvick.
Keep going, number 4.
Last thing I wanted to mention as it pertained to the NASCAR race this week, because we had talked about it during the iRacing, the whole scandal of the Rage Quit and losing his Blue Emu sponsorship. Bubba Wallace I think he finished 21st, which actually was his best finish ever at Atlanta. Different drivers have different tracks where they do better or worse, but he pretty much fainted when they took him out of the car, had to be caught, and then Fox cameras caught up with him, and he seemed to be, rehydrating or whatever it was, and lucid enough to give like a 1 or 2 minute interview. But then when the Fox sideline reporter cut back and did like the stand up to the camera, you could see him sitting on the wall, basically like just fainting, like falling out. His eyes were like in the back of his head. This is the beginning of it. We can't show the video because it's Fox, but it was weird. They cleared him medically to leave the track and leave the medical center. So it just kind of odd that. I know it's happened to him once or twice before, so that's a little scary when you think about these guys are going 180 miles an hour. But hopefully he's all right, and we'll be there next week. But that was your little NASCAR rundown. We like to keep you guys abreast of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And the other, really probably the biggest event of the weekend was UFC 250. I saw some of the prelims. I did not see the pay-per-view footage, but I know Tyler pretty much had this all broken down, so I'm going to defer to Tyler again, the fight doctor, Tyler Worth, of the Quarantine Kings.
I'll just kind of give some points on the main card here. Obviously, the main event, Amanda Nunes defending her women's 145-pound title against Felicia Spencer. Just absolute all-around domination. Probably the biggest story that came out of this was actually the guy that placed a $1 million bet on Nunes that paid out $166,000, which, I mean, he won. That doesn't at all sound like it'd be worth it to me, but what do I know? He's the guy with the $1 million to spend. I'm not. So, but it was just complete thorough domination. I mean, she stuffed every takedown that Spencer tried to throw. In fact, in the first round, she actually, Spencer, I think half her wins have come from submission. In the first round, they actually went on the ground, and Nunes just absolutely destroyed her with elbows, and I think that caused Spencer to not try to go to the ground for the next couple rounds, and she just got picked apart on the feet. It was absolute domination. I scored it 50-44, but those 4 rounds I had 10-9 were some of the most lopsided rounds I've ever seen. So she's pretty much cleaned out the 135 and 145 women's division, which kind of interested to see where they go from there. I mean, that's not her problem. That's Dana White's problem. He's got to go find somebody that can challenge her, but good luck. Because the only person I would have said would be Cyborg, and she knocked Cyborg out in under a minute. So,
yeah. And I think it kind of reminded me, I think I heard it on, I want to say Dan Patrick, maybe Friday or Thursday. Dana White was on there, as he usually makes the circuit, kind of hyping up these, especially the pay-per-views.
Mm-hmm.
And Dan Patrick asked him a question about, Ronda Rousey was the first kind of like transcendent, just like this person's a star, whether it's women or men, regardless, in that division. And just, Holly Holm got a big bump after that win when she finally beat Ronda Rousey. The dominance of Nunes is a little bit different, though, because as you see this whole thing sort of just becoming like a huge – there's a lot of competitors in these women's division of UFC now. She just seems – well, obviously, Ronda Rousey's thing was like the judo, getting people on the ground, getting the submission. But Nunes is just – she's just like she can do whatever. Like the fight, obviously most of the time she's taking a fight to someone else. But she can adjust on the fly because she has other things in her bag where it's not just like a one-dimensional, like, I'm better than everyone at this one thing. Like, I'm interested to see, like you said, what they're going to do as far as getting a marketable fight against her, because I don't think anyone, like, we had the guy laying $1 million just to win 116,000. It's going to be like that for a while unless they can't just magically come up with more fighters for her, but it'll be interesting.
Yeah, no, it's a good point too. I mean, she is obviously she wants to keep the game standing. That's where she's at. But if it goes to the ground, she is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and
she's capable.
I was insanely impressed with her takedown defense. I mean, even though a lot of it was desperation from Spencer, she did stuff. I think it was not all 9 of her takedowns, which, and even at certain points, she lock her up and then trip her or literally throw her to the ground. It was just. Props to Spencer. I mean, I knew she was tough. I think I said it last week. She proved her toughness when she went 3 rounds with Cyborg and took a beating. But Nunes was just a whole nother level, and it was I don't know what they're going to do with the women's divisions at this point in time. But so that's Dana's problem. That's not Amanda's problem.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I wanted to highlight was the 3 bantamweight fights on the main card, 2 of which were both knockout of the night
material for sure.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the gifs, but Sugar Sean O'Malley knocked out Eddie Wineland with just a nasty straight right that just as soon as he hit, O'Malley just started walking away. He knew it. As soon as he touched him, he was out. So he's definitely a big up and comer. I think that puts him at 12-0 with 9 knockouts right now. Like, he's definitely a guy. You'll be seeing him higher up the card these next few years here. Aljamain Sterling got his win over Cody forget. Anyway, Aljamain Sterling, he gets a win by submission. Yeah. Just really impressive. Just right off the bell, just charges straight at Cody, takes his back, gets the rear naked choke. Really impressive win. Sterling probably should have been in a title fight instead of this one, but definitely his next fight is going to be a title shot. No question there. And then Cody Garbrandt, he came back with this. This was probably the knockout of the night. I texted Ronnie after the O'Malley knockout, said we got a knockout of the night. Then Garbrandt comes back and knocks out Rafael Assunção with like literally right before the bell at the end of the second round. Like as soon as he hits him, Assunção starts dropping and the bell rings. It was just a nasty, just kind of duck in, swung a huge fast right hook, and just Assunção
walk off
away. Yeah, it was nasty. But
and he knew as soon as he connected too. You see him just like hit him, walk off. Like that's it.
Yeah, he pulled he pulled a Randy Watson. He did the. But so it was a big show for the bantamweight division. So all in all, I thought it was a really impressive card. The main event again was a bit of a whooping, but albeit very impressive performance from Nunes. So all in all, good show from 250. Interested to see what they have coming up. Of course, into next month we got Fight Island, baby.
Yes.
It's all building towards. It's all building to Fight Island.
Credit to Dana for still pushing forward with this. A lot of times with Dana too, though, there is definitely like the pride factor of him saying it. This was like in the peak lockdown days. They didn't know when they were going to be able to even. Maybe it was right before Florida kind of opened up to wrestling and combat sports, and people were making fun of him, saying it's never going to happen. He doesn't have the island, whatever. And a part of me feels like now there's places he can go, like the Apex thing. They can stage these main event like pay-per-views, but he's like, no, we're doing a Fight Island. I told you we were doing it. We're doing it.
Well, there is another fight that he could put on that card that got brought up this weekend. So last week he actually was on Dan Le Batard's show, and they got into a bit of an argument over the pay disputes that have been come up with some of the top line fighters. And so Dan Le Batard issued a challenge to fight Dana in a charity match. And Saturday night, Dana accepted and said, I will put up $250,000 of my own money for this. So now it's back on Le Batard to see, is he, was he just talking shit or is he actually going to back this up? They could do that at Fight Island. I mean, I'm sure both guys would need, would prefer more than 1 month to train. But I figure that's a good way to get, more eyes on the card other than the novelty of Fight Island.
Well, imagine the ESPN is on this on both sides, so they will promote the hell out of this. We got Le Batard and Dana White, and quite frankly, I think we just want to see it. So
I want to see it. I think it'll be fun. Dana White, before he got into MMA, his background was boxing, so he's definitely not afraid to do the crazy promotion as well. Let's just say boxing is wont to do.
Well, Dana's been behind a lot of these, oh no, the weigh-in stare down turned into a fight, and he's like, you could tell he's like sick, but he's like, oh, break it up, come on guys. Like he always just wedges in the middle, like he really cares, but he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna sell like 10,000 more of these.
Right.
And Le Batard and Dana, and who's gonna step in? I don't know. Now that Conor allegedly retired again for now.
Yeah, for now. See.
Of course that would happen, but he'll come back. I think everything that he does at this point is he's shaking down someone. Like if Dana won't pay me, I'll box someone, I'll do something else. But just let me know what the figures are going to be, and I'll magically come out of retirement again.
I saw some theories that he was doing this just to promote another fight with Mayweather, which I mean, sure that'll make money, but I mean, don't get me wrong, Conor looked good. He did look good against Mayweather, but that was also Mayweather. Yeah. That was also Mayweather spending his entire training camp at strip clubs and not really trying until like the 6th round. So I mean, let's not kid ourselves. I wouldn't expect much more if they rematch.
And I still think too with that fight, Conor there's things that Mayweather doesn't necessarily have to be given 100%, and it's still, one of, if not the best pound for pound guys in the world at that time. He was kind of declining then, but still just like a dangerous guy in a boxing ring.
Yeah.
And like you said, Conor acquitted himself pretty well dealing with some of those things. He didn't look like he was completely just lost, but I still think there was portions of that where Floyd is so far ahead of like, how much are we going to make on this? I can drag this out a little bit. Like, he's not hurting me. We'll just make this a little more interesting. People thought I was just going to walk through him. Like, oh no, look at it. He's looking all right. And then of course he still wins, but
yeah, that's true. Maybe he did lay off to maybe sell a potential second fight. Like, oh, look, see, he went 8 rounds with me. Look at that. And now they can do a second fight. He'll just go out there and, try from the start and probably win pretty easily. So,
and I think, with Conor, again, retiring now for the third time, I think.
Yeah, third time.
He's heading more that way just as far as a marketing person as Floyd. Just like, he knows what he's doing. Like, he's setting something up, or he's trying to get a little bit more money out of someone, or, promoter or something else. Like, I don't think this is the last we've seen of him fighting either boxing or MMA. Like, I'll just leave it at that. But it was interesting that happened, I guess, during 250 or right after.
Yeah.
So that brings us to baseball. No, but we got a good news and a greater news. Let's just say it that way for baseball. So the good news is the owners came back with the proposal. Let's see here. I think I got a Jeff Passan. It's sort of just a brass tacks breakdown of it. 76 game season would be 75% prorated salary at 76 games, and then up to 8 playoff teams per league. Obviously, the players or coaches or people involved that would be deemed at risk would have the option to not participate and still receive their full salary. Although I liked how it was also in there. The players that are not deemed at risk will basically have the option to play or not get paid. So it looks like they are sort of working towards, again, where they're finally going to land on this. But, we've said it here 1,000 times before. The clock is ticking, and then, once you get something going, you're going to be up against possibly every other major sport at the same time. So I don't know what that does for you on TV, especially when fans can't go to the games. But, hey, if you're still trying to work it out, I don't know. Good for you.
Yeah, I mean, kind of all the response I've seen from leaks where the players just were not happy. In fact, I thought I saw a trend that some of the players were tweeting LOL. It was all about this newest offer. I saw somebody, God, I wish I could remember who it was, but it was somebody maybe from The Athletic or CBS Baseball basically made a tweet saying that like all the owners' offers have basically come out to players getting 33% of their pay. They've just like formatted it different ways, but every single one of them has basically come out to players getting the same amount of pay no matter what. So still don't think we're near it. I mean, we'll see, man. I just
well, and after the last counteroffer from the players, I know Tony Clark came out and said, like, we're done with the like prorated is fine, deferred is fine, but we're not going to take like this 70, 75, 80%. Like, we want full prorated salaries, and we will not negotiate on that.
Right.
Again, things change all the time in negotiations. That might have just been a ploy to get them closer to this that they want to, but it's still not like a slam dunk, like some people are sort of making it out to be. And like you said, Tyler was saying that a lot of players have already kind of just been like, nope, that's not what we talked about. Again, you guys aren't getting it. We're pretty clear on what we want here. So we hold out for that. But let's get into some positive news here. And that is that Angel Hernandez, the widely regarded as the worst umpire in the major leagues, is still getting in trouble, even though there are no games being played right now. He has now been accused of eavesdropping last July on a call between, I think it was the Red Sox, a delay in a Red Sox-Mariners game. That was, for some reason, like 17 minutes with no explanation. And, of course, his lawyer has said that's just retaliation for the discrimination lawsuit that he's filed against MLB for not getting to do Championship Series and the World Series. I believe that's what it was.
Yeah.
And on the grounds that was a racist discrimination, which really don't think it was, Angel. You're just not that good at your job.
He's really bad. I mean, it's kind of the old saying is if you're an umpire and people know your name, that's never a good thing. Angel Hernandez is one that every baseball fan knows his name, and he's just routinely making terrible calls. I know in that article that was out there by Daniel Kaplan on the Athletic, there was just a list of all kinds of things that Hernandez has screwed up on over the years. Missing.
Oh yeah, I got that here too. Let's
there we go
over it.
Yeah. So so the day after Homer Bailey pitches a no-hitter, he goes into Homer Bailey's locker room, brings an MLB authenticator as well, and asks him to autograph 11 baseballs for himself and the crew, which
totally classy, totally normal, and upholding the standards of impartiality. Good job.
Not a good look there. Having 3 calls overturned by replay in the first 4 innings of a playoff game, which, good Lord, that is rough. There's umpires that haven't had 3 overturned calls all year, and he gets them in 4 innings of a big baseball game. There you go. You can also see Torey testify. He observed Hernandez throwing his headset after having his call overturned. And then back in 2013, when replay was done by the actual officials on site rather than by an independent person in New York, he refused to change his mind on a replay where he called a ground rule double on a ball that was clearly a home run. And he tried saying, the screen that we're looking at is too small. I couldn't tell, but it just.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good. The umpires can't see. That's great.
Exactly. So
good defense.
I'll say this, man. He is lucky. If there's any union in sports more powerful than the MLB Players Union, it's the MLB Umpires Union. There's no way he should have a job, but he does. And he's
coming in, falling Angel Hernandez.
I'm never one that wishes somebody to lose their job, but if there's somebody that's out of their depths at their job, it's definitely Angel Hernandez.
No, we were talking about this before the show. I mean, Joe West is pretty well known as sort of a dick. Sometimes he makes it about him. But the one thing I will say is I've never felt that Joe West was actually trying to affect the final outcome of a game.
Sure.
He would just be, a little bit over the top, like
ejecting
someone.
Just a little bit.
Ejecting someone when it was not called for. Or
did you make eye contact with me, you piece of crap?
Get out! Get out!
That's Joe West. If you've never seen him before, it's.
But even he has he sort of realizes his sort of station in the MLB umpire world, where he'll still
too. So
when they show up at they want to have the Philly fanatic pull a prank on him, he'll do it, or different stuff like that. Where he's kind of a dick, but like I said, he's not just a horrible umpire like Angel Hernandez is. Where sometimes it's just he'll do a whole 3 innings and the strike zone makes no sense. What?
Yeah.
You have to be a little bit better than that. These are the best players. You're supposed to be the best umpires. What is happening? Why?
I don't know. Hopefully we'll get more news for you in that in the future. I do see we are up against it here, so we do want to sign out. So thank you so much for tuning in. Ronnie, you got anything you want to close us out with tonight?
No, thank you guys for listening. Thanks for sticking with us. Friday, we had a little extra bonus episode. Hope you guys appreciated that. That put us over the 6,000. We're climbing to 10. So stick with us. We're going to ride this thing till the wheels fall off. And Tyler, what you got?
Keep the fire.
Keep the fire.